Ladies and gentlemen, you know what day it is. You know what time it is. My tone has changed because I'm not here to make friends. I'm not here to talk to my homies. It is war along that Red River. It is the battle of that ugly school in that ugly city, in that ugly state where they don't even know what shade of red they are against the prestigious, the honorable Texas Longhorns. And oh, and by the way, we have Eric, who's a fan of that other weird red school.
You know what? I'm gonna just save my talking for tomorrow, per usual. Just know it's been fun watching Casey Thompson. I'll give him that. But it's time to cut off some horns tomorrow.
You know what? It's fine that you say that because you know what the weather's gonna be like. It's gonna be bright and sunny. And you know, when your quarterback tends to be lacking a little bit of, a little bit of melanin in them, they tend to burn up in the heat. And
I think he stood that heat pretty good last year for his first time.
I mean, he just had to get benched to do it, but it's all right. That guy is out of there. That guy is gone. Herman, I never heard of him. It's shark season, baby.
Look, man, it's gonna be I think this is probably one of the most interesting Red River games we've had in a while. Honestly,
I can honestly say this game has the makings to be a classic like '08.
You know what this gives, like, this game's giving me feels of like how it used to be in the 2000s, because you knew like every year is gonna be something big's on the line.
It really does, because now OU is playing for national championship considerations, even though we both agree they ain't got no business playing for no national championship.
Yeah. And what's crazy to me, and I never thought I would say this as an OU fan, especially in the past 10 years, the defense is the best part of OU right now. And they're like, honestly, a top 15 team defense.
Which is not a good thing, considering OU's history with defense. I'll tell you my major concern for OU is OU has not made any win look easy this year.
Outside of Western, whoever it was.
What was it? Western Carolina?
Carolina, yeah.
No win
has looked easy at all. And this is the first time where I've seen Lincoln dial back on the playbook. And we all know Lincoln loves to air it out. He loves to give you some trickery. He loves to give you different blocking schemes on the O-line, which has been a big, major concern for OU this year, which in the past hasn't been a concern, but this year it's been a little issue trying to get that together.
Now, the question is really, has the O-line not been a concern, or have you just had more athletic quarterbacks to where it's easier for them to get out?
I think this year around, it really is the O-line, considering how many players from that front line in the past couple of years gone in the first, second, even third rounds. So this is a quite new territory for OU, because people forget a lot of the players that are on the O-line for OU is transfers and players who didn't play at all last year. So it's a whole new front for Lincoln to get used to. Now, he did kind of make a good adjustment in that K-State game last week, but I don't know if that's going to last against a game like Texas.
I mean, adjustment against a K-State in Manhattan is not the same as adjusting in that Cotton Bowl. And for some reason, no one can explain it. There's no scientific formula, will, why, or reason. Y'all just do not play well in Manhattan, Kansas.
Oh, we don't. It's a historic thing at that.
I don't know why. There's no explanation for it. Y'all just don't play well in Manhattan, Kansas, and haven't for a very long time. Texas has that same issue with TCU for whatever reason. Maybe it's the purple.
I think this year we're really going to see what this year's game. I know we talk about this all the time with players. We're going to see if Spencer can really live up to that legacy as an OU quarterback in the Red River game. Because this is where we both know this is where your name is made.
Red River rivalry is where quarterbacks at Texas and OU become legends. Because it's what makes this rivalry so different is when Ohio State and Michigan play, or when Florida and Florida State play, or USC and Notre Dame play, Auburn, Alabama, they play at the end of the season. They're the very best that they're gonna be. We meet dead smack in the middle. We say, fuck all that. Fuck all that preparation. Fuck all your team is the best they can get. Forget injuries. Nah, they say it's two rival countries meeting in the middle of the day on a neutral field, as neutral as literally mileage possible.
Literally, like OU is probably 4 miles less, or
Austin.
I know the difference is like 4 miles.
Austin is very, very slightly closer. But you know what? When you add in the traffic in Austin on 35, it's the same. So it doesn't make a difference.
So I'm kind of interested to see how Spencer is going to react, especially with the criticism he's been getting and coming into this game. Because 2 weeks ago, people were calling for his name.
Yep, exactly. Against another team who y'all should have blown out the water.
And here's another thing. I know people are looking at the points per game OU's giving up, but me and you both know this. The more time the defense is on the field, the more time they're going to get tired and give up
the more points they're going to give up. And this is the Big 12. We're not here to hold people under 21 points.
I think we can both agree with that. OU's defense has improved tremendously these last 2 years with Alex Grinch. I'm interested in watching Bijan Robinson. That's a bad man.
If Texas did not drop that stupid game to Arkansas to where they just smacked us around and called us their bitch, Bijan Robinson would be a Heisman candidate.
Hey, to be honest with you, I think even if Casey Thompson started that game, y'all don't lose like that.
Agreed. If we don't lose like that. And that's another thing that's been saving y'all for some reason. I'm going to throw it's the OU name, because there's no reason y'all should be beating unranked opponents by
a touchdown, yeah,
by 2 scores and not dropping 3 or 4 ranks.
Oh, trust me. After that Nebraska game, I already said, you need to drop to at least 10.
If you are a top 10 team and you barely beat an unranked team, you got to drop 3 or 4 unless everyone from 1 to 3 behind you lost.
And I even told you this before after that Tulane game. I was like, okay, maybe it's just them trying to work out kinks and, get things going. But then it continued, and it's like, okay.
They didn't look good against Nebraska. They didn't look good against K-State. And, Tulane might have just been a dangerous team. They had nothing to play for. They're like, look, we're going to leave it all on the line because you see what we have to go back to.
So, that's why I like the Tulane game. I kind of gave OU some grace. But when it came to the Nebraska, West Virginia, even the K-State game early on, I was just like, well, OU is what they are right now. And yeah, Casey Thompson's a big plus for Texas. I even agree he should have been starting from the get-go.
Because you're not biased at all.
No, honestly, we both knew after that Alamo Bowl game last year too, he should have been starting.
I didn't see how he wasn't starting since he played in the Alamo Bowl with Sam going down for a bit. But yeah, Casey Thompson is definitely going to be the plus for us. And I don't like Texas's offense. I don't like how slow it is in the modern game. You got to speed it up. I understand every offense isn't meant to be like OU. It's because Lincoln will fire off and get 80, 90 plays in a game.
And it's kind of tough for him to do that this year, considering a certain someone's kind of handicapping the play calling.
And that's what he's not used to. But Texas, this slow, methodical way, like, I don't like it, especially since we have a solid 1-2 punch at running back. Bijan is obviously our star, but Roshan Johnson is no slouch.
I'm really curious about OU's defensive front, colliding with Bijan. Because this is probably to be outside of Arkansas, probably to be the best defense he's seen.
Which is the valid point of Texas. Texas hasn't really had a real test since Arkansas defensively. When look, Texas Tech, we know Texas Tech ain't played defense since ever. They've never played defense.
Even before I was born.
Like Graham, they weren't playing defense with Graham Harrell when they won that magical game against Texas. I believe the score was like 44-41.
Yeah, it was something crazy.
Something like that. They've never played defense. Texas put 70 on them. 70 points is 70 points. I don't care how bad you are. If we lined up a little league team, it would be hard for us to score 70 points.
I'll say this, though. Even though y'all are slow and methodical with y'all's offense, y'all a little bit more dynamic than OU.
We finally found we finally got receivers who look like they're fast. Watching OU skilled over the last few years, CD and Hollywood, going back to Ryan Broyles, they just looked so much more explosive and faster than Texas.
And here's the thing, though, like OU has the receivers: Marvin Mims, Mario Williams, Jaden Hazelwood. Like they have the receivers to be dynamic, but because of, and I don't want to put the whole blame on Spencer, because I know the O-line's been having issues, but at the same time, I do have to put some blame on Spencer because he can't make those throws that Baker could make. He can't make those throws that Kyler could make. Can't make those throws that Hurts could make. Because they could thread the needle on those passes that Spencer tries to make, but he can't. Even his deep balls, they're not as accurate. They're either coming up short or he's overthrowing it.
I'm just like I've told many, many people, I am just not sold on Spencer Rattler. I never was. I wasn't from the beginning, and it all started. We know where it all started. It all started on QB1 Beyond the Lights, where honestly, he was just a dick to his teammates. And I don't like that. I get it. He was a kid. He was 18. I hope he's matured since then. But dog, at that point in your life, you're old enough to know. I would rather you just be a cocky quarterback that knows they're great instead of being a cocky quarterback that knows they're great that's a dick to his teammates.
Yeah. Yeah, you kind of summed it up on QB1, that whole stuff. That was interesting to see.
Like we've seen other quarterbacks on there. That's where people fell in love with Justin Fields.
Yeah.
Justin Fields, even Clemson's quarterback, DJ, I can't pronounce his last name, so I don't try. He was a cool, decent guy. Some of the other guys are pretty irrelevant from there, but that's where if people see you before you become a star, that's where they form their opinion of you. And until we get to see more of you in a public sense, which because of COVID, Spencer really hasn't, there hasn't been like the ESPN all access type stuff to see his personality. That's what I have to go off of.
I think, honestly, with Spencer, then again, maybe it might just probably living in a little bit nostalgia with it, but at least with Baker and Kyler, they were on the sideline pumping up guys.
Yeah.
You're not seeing that with Spencer.
And you know what Spencer is showing me? Spencer is showing me he's having the same issue Texas has had for the last decade. He's a privileged, highly touted, let's call it a buck, privileged white kid who thinks the program owes him something and believes that he is the greatest thing since sliced bread. And when life hit him in the mouth, he didn't exactly know how to react. That's what Texas has basically been dealing with since the Colt McCoy era ended. And as someone who is a Texas fan, I can tell you it doesn't lead with good results.
I personally think if OU can pull this win out, this is going to be the turning point for Spencer, like it was last year. I think honestly, I'm still gonna have to hold on to being a Spencer believer
You have
until
no choice.
all of that, but also like until proven otherwise.
If
I'm still
if I had to believe in Tyron Swoops, you gotta believe in this man. So I want to hear it.
oh no, man, I'm still a Spencer believer. I think with him at the end of the day, I think he's just gonna have to understand that, you know, he's gonna have to understand that he can't be the poster boy that he thinks he is, which is all right. Even I remember even Baker went through that issue. If we're being honest, 2015 Baker. People forget too that it did take Baker a while to grow into what he did become at OU. His first year was rough. Second year, he started showing a little bit more star power. It was the third year when he finally, cracked through that ceiling.
First year, was that when they lost to Texas with Gerard Hurd at quarterback?
Yeah. That was the year they went to the playoffs and got beat by Clemson.
Mm-hmm. And Baker just had a huge chip on his shoulder because he believed, look, I won Big 12 Newcomer of the Year. I was a what is honorable mention All American, and Tech still didn't give him a scholarship. Now, granted, they got Pat Mahomes.
They had Pat Mahomes, but that's different. That's different.
We're saying that from the lens that we're viewing Pat Mahomes at now, but Pat Mahomes didn't win nothing in college.
Like at the time, I know this sounds crazy to say, but at the time, at least from 2015 through that 2017, you're like, I'd rather take Baker over Mahomes.
No,
which is what I know it's wild to say, but it's the truth.
Anyone who says they saw Pat Mahomes coming is a damn liar. You know you didn't. Because if we being real, Pat Mahomes was not a better quarterback at Tech than Graham Harrell.
Oh, yeah.
Because what
granted, Graham Harrell did have, Michael Crabtree, but
yeah, but how hard is it to put up numbers at Texas Tech?
Not hard.
Every quarterback puts up astounding numbers at Tech because they're Texas Tech. That offense is just what they do. Baker had to go because they obviously didn't believe in him. OU was in a quarterback crisis, so they said, "Look, we'll take you."
Yeah, because that was when Trevor Knight had the concussion issues. And I think that's when he transferred to A&M, if I remember correctly.
Yes.
Yeah, I think so. So I mean, honestly, Spencer's kind of reminding me of 2015 Baker right now, which isn't bad. But it's just
you got to at this point in the season, like we're midway through it.
This is week 6.
You are gonna get better, but by week 6, he's not showing
that Heisman hype.
Yeah, he's definitely not showing that Heisman hype. But luckily, after week 1, that went out the window.
You know what's crazy? I just not thought about this. Funny how the 2 front runners for the Heisman, DJ, I'm not going to try his name, and Spencer are literally out of the Heisman race now.
Well, because the world finally figured out that Clemson hasn't been good for very long. I watched a TikTok where they're explaining how colleges act based on who they are. And they're like, Clemson smells like new money and acts like it. Clemson not no powerhouse. They're not a traditional, from college basketball standpoint, they ain't no blue blood. They would be like Dayton. They've never been bad, but they get to play with the big boys once or twice, and they think they're one of us. No, y'all are in the ACC. Y'all are all a bunch of bums. Don't believe me? Ask Florida State.
So, okay, do you think this would be possibly the game where Spencer can save his at least himself for the rest of the season?
We Texas OU is big, baby. You do good against Texas OU. You save your job.
I'm more so speaking. Like, I want to see your perspective of Spencer from a Longhorn perspective.
As of now, we do not fear Spencer Rattler. We do not. He's like a thorn in our side because in our mind, y'all did not win the game last year. We lost the game. We should have put it away early. Sam was the veteran. We had on paper, we had every advantage to win the Big 12 last year, except coach.
Well, I remember last year though. OU got off to the quick lead, and they even went up by 2 touchdowns in a field goal.
After the
going to the fourth,
their first 2 drives on OU were horrible.
Oh yeah, that's when Spencer got
The first drives were horrible. And the thing is, we had costly turnovers that were more giveaways opposed to takeaways. And we had every advantage to win the game. And on paper, we should have. Lincoln Riley was just hands better than Tom Herman. And Tom Herman, we being real, the University of Texas, he was playing over his head.
You know, I remember when y'all first got Tom Herman, I kept thinking, I was like, okay, this guy can get any Texas recruit with no issue. But then you realize when you not even a year in, you realize how dysfunctional it was. You're like, yeah, okay, never mind.
Being the coach at the University of Texas is very hard because it comes with so much more bureaucracy and politics behind closed doors.
Alumni.
And the University of Texas alumni network is the strongest and has the most influence of probably any school.
Honestly, I think that's why Lincoln's flourishing so much at OU because OU is a little bit more laid back. They're like more letting him run the show, at least until those expectations can't be reached.
The difference between OU and Texas is the difference between Aunt Viv and Uncle Phil. Uncle Phil is bougie. He knows he made himself this. I got money. I don't have to spend money. Because I got money, you got to do what I say. Aunt Viv is like, yeah, I have money. I can buy nice things because I want nice things and I deserve nice things. Excuse me. But I'm not really stuck up about it. I don't have a stick up my ass about it. That's really the difference. And OU does not have the alumni network nor the millions of dollars in the booster. They do have the millions of dollars, but we know they don't have the money.
It's not Texas.
It's not Texas money.
It's like what Mac used to say, Donald Trump money.
Yeah, they ain't got that Donald Trump money. They got
we got Jay-Z money.
Yeah, they got Jay-Z. They got rich black guy money. We got rich white guy money. That's the difference. There you go. We got more political than we were supposed to.
Way more. But I feel like tomorrow's game, I couldn't even give you a prediction because it's just so. Like I said, this is the first year in a while where I'm just like, I don't know where this game's gonna go.
Toss up. So, Eric, I know you say you don't want to pick a winner just yet, but that's too damn bad. But before we end the recap, score right now. Where are you going?
I'm gonna go 48-42 OU. Overtime. Another overtime.
I feel that. But again, such a naive Sooner. Better go on to the other side of that Red River. Before I give my prediction, let me say this. No true-blooded Texan can go to school in Oklahoma and be proud of it. take your ass on the other side. 28-24 Texas. I agree. OT. Let's go. Horns up.
I think honestly too. I think this one's gonna be more of a. I mean, I know I said over or high score, but I think those high scores are gonna come in overtime again.
Hey, you never know when it comes to Texas and OU. Anything can happen. So y'all, thank you for tuning in to the recap live from the Red River. Horns up. Boomer Sooner. Don't care what Eric has to say. Get your own symbol. We out.